Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Talk with the Titans, live from London, UK, all the way to the US of A and worldwide. I'm your host, Kalam L, and this is Talk with the Titans. On tonight's show, we have Dalian Adofo in the studios. He is the director of Ancestral Voices. Welcome, my brother Dalian.
Thank you for having me on your show, Kalam. It's a pleasure to be here. And I'm looking forward to a very engaging and interesting conversation.
Excellent, excellent. We've got a few panel members here. We're also inviting panel members from Ancestral Voices to come and join in with the dialogue, the discussion, and have your say. Ask the co-director of Ancestral Voices any question you like, no matter how intrusive it is. All right. So Dalian, tell me, a lot of our audience are from America, so they might not be actually familiar with British filmmakers as such. So could you give us a quick intro about yourself and the works that you do?
Okay. My name is Dalian Adofo. I guess I have to give you a brief bio then. I'm originally from Ghana, West Africa. Been living in the UK since my teenage years. The work I do in terms of filmmaking, I'm a creative. My work spans from be it the fields of graphic design all the way up into filmmaking. And filmmaking is mainly the one that I guess I've been doing most of within the last few years. I more make socially conscious documentaries is how I would describe it. So, most of my work have a message, a message that I guess people would find beneficial to some aspect of their lives. That's mainly the nature of the films that I make. They might fall within the social commentary box, if you wanna, for lack of a better word, that is, So and I've been, I guess I've been in the industry since 2007, the creative industry, that is. So that's how far back some of my works span.
Excellent, excellent. Everybody out there who's listening in right now, we've literally just started. So please hit that share button, and let everybody know Talk with the Titans has started. And we have the world-renowned Dalian Adofo, co-director of Ancestral Voices in the studio. Hopefully, I'm going to get a chance to play the trailer for you a little bit later on. Okay, so we're going to speak to Dalian a little bit further. We're going to ask him about African spirituality. He's been around the world, literally, he's been all the way from South Africa to West Africa to South America to America, interviewing the most profound, the most interesting spiritual leaders and faith practitioners of indigenous African or indigenous practices, full stop. From Credo, Mutwa to over in America as well, Professor James Smalls, to over here in the UK, Robin Walker, etc. So this is a not to be missed occasion. So please, if you've got a friend that you know would enjoy this information, hit that share button down below. It's just there, just down below, right there. Just hit that share button down below. It will lead you into Facebook, Twitter, Google Plus, etc. Share it on all those platforms and let everybody know we are here, we're started, and this is not to be missed. Okay. All right. So Dalian, you say that you're originally from Ghana.
So you can keep.
Yes. You're originally from Ghana. So I would like to know which part of Ghana actually are you from?
Man, Skype would have been so much easier.
Dalian, can you hear me? 1 second. I don't think my brother can hear me. He can hear me now. You can hear me now? Dalian,
yeah. I can hear you now. Sorry, it looks like we had some technical difficulties Hangout logged me out.
No problem, no problem.
I'm back now. I'm back now.
This is the beauty of live TV. So, darling, which part of Ghana actually are you actually from?
Well, my mom is from a place called Mamponting. She's Asante. And my dad is from Kwewu. So all in all, I'm an Akan. I'm from, yeah, the Asante region, really, of Ghana.
Okay. Okay. So what was the impetus? What inspired you to shed more light on African spirituality and even delve into African spirituality and get a taste firsthand to actually observe it and view it and see it and touch it and taste it and smell it?
Well, the main impetus I think came from being exposed, or should we say, studying most of the mainstream religions. You know, from I was raised Catholic, then I kind of took it upon myself to study Islam because at one point I was very interested. Nearly became a convert to Islam, and then it was more when I kind of went deeper into Buddhism that it really hit home about how much these other religions, for lack of a better word, because Buddhism really shouldn't be classified as a religion, take so much from African spirituality. It's always been an area that I've been interested in. I've always entertained the idea of doing a film about that topic, but even then it was mainly to do with the Asante or the Akan aspect of their spiritual beliefs. So when I came across the Eightfold Path of the Buddha, that he prescribed for ethical, moral, enlightened living, it hit a nerve. It made me. I heard it and I thought this is the same as becoming an ancestor in the African traditions. Because I knew a little, as much as my mom raised us Catholic, she didn't make us move far from the traditions. It was an intricate part of our upbringing. So in terms of the proverbs, to guide you socially, ethically, it was all there. So upon coming upon that Eightfold Path of the Buddha, I was like, no, this is just the same guidelines as becoming an ancestor. So that then made me go deep into the African spirituality to actually explore it for its merits and to know exactly what it entailed and was about. That was the main catalyst, really. Yeah.
Wow. Wow. The Buddha, the Eightfold Buddha Path is the is the leading factor. That is amazing. That is actually amazing. It's quite, how can I say it? It's quite common amongst the British folks over here. We usually start off from the Christian household, and then we reach an age where we become more intrigued with life. We have more questions. We want to inquire, and it starts us on a search, a journey. Usually leads us most probably to Islam, one of the most closest things to what we've been brought up with Christianity. Then we want something more spiritual. Islam may lack a spiritual element that Christianity did. And then we go into the esoteric side, the Eastern religions, the Eastern philosophy, and then for some strange reason, it draws us all the way back home. It's like that principle, that Adringa symbol and principle of Sankofa, returning back home to see the future. So, in that being said, how was it? How was the journey? Like, how did it feel for you to go back to the ancestral land? And actually see these practices taking place to bring it back to us in the Western world?
Well, the journey's been most enlightening and very informative, because even with filming the first one is when I actually had the first experience of going into a shrine house, and this was facilitated by my mom, because she's the one who took us to the village and showed us, I guess, the family shrine house, and introduced us to some of the akomfos or priests that we would eventually interview. And even during that filming, I realized that within myself there was an aspect of should we say, a colonized mind to a degree, because it wasn't necessarily a fear, but it was like, oh, okay, because you're confronting it now and you see it direct and you have it in your presence, and then you realize, oh, okay, you know what, I still actually hold some hesitation regarding these systems, but then I guess opened my mind even more, because then I realized that fear was unfounded. Yeah, it was something that had no basis in reality. Similarly, following that, I met a Nigerian Babalawo, who's another term for a priest, yeah, who divines via the Ifa system. And again, having the experience of that divination opened up so many doors, made me understand so many experiences across my whole life experience up until that present moment that I had possibly just dismissed as things that are just some of these things just happen and you just say, oh, you can't explain it, it just happened. But then you could see how it tied into all aspects of my experience and how far it brought me to that moment, So yeah, the journey has been most enlightening. Yeah, I can't even, it's beyond words for me to describe it. It's enriched the quality of the very life I live, and the experiences that I have, because there's this extra layer of meaning that perhaps you will not see if you're only looking at it from, should we say, the physical eye. Yeah.
Indeed, indeed. And you know what? I want to actually give our viewing audience a taste of that experience. So hopefully, if the YouTube gods allow us, we can actually play a clip from your Ancestral Voices Volume 1 trailer. So bear with me, everybody. I'm going to try to put this on for everybody to see. Is it viewing on your screen right now? Can you see it?
I can.
Okay, great.
If you disassociate yourself with your ancestral heritage, be you Japanese, Chinese, Indian, African, you are lost to your ancestral, your cultural heritage. Because if you're asleep to that, you are asleep spiritually. And if you're asleep spiritually, you can be oppressed and manipulated.
You do. Evil, apparently. If you want to say Obia and Juju and Ifa and everything else African is evil, it is simply a tool that we have given. It is a God-given tool. It is a tool that exists in the universe. Use it for good, use it for bad. I was always taught that you use it for good.
The first Christian worshipped Jesus at the end of a whip. He didn't choose to worship there. How would you choose the religion of your oppressor? It makes no sense.
Well, I would argue and say that no, Christianity is actually, it predates your traditional beliefs, because the spirit was there before everything happened.
The tradition, the culture, is to do with the universe and our place in it. Religion doesn't deal with that. Religion deals with one person. They have personalized God.
The other reason why African religions are so maligned and bedeviled is because if religion covers your total being. So if you follow your religion, it means that you're servicing your total self.
She didn't believe in doctors or anything. She was her own doctor. She was guided by nature. If you were ill, she knew what bush, what to do, what prayers, that's her way. But to everybody else, she's an Obia woman.
African belief systems have not been given the same mainstream attention or concentrated research. That is why we don't understand it, and which is why it's deemed negative. It's just lack of understanding.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. So that right there was the Ancestral Voices trailer for the very first one. I believe you released that in 2010. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
That's correct.
It actually came out in 2011. That's when the film was actually released. Yes.
Okay, so just from the trailer alone, it delved into a lot of concepts, a lot of preconceived notions that people actually hold about African spirituality. One of the most famous or infamous attributes towards it is negative. It's to do with devil worshipping. It has so many negative connotations. And you kind of touched on this a little bit prior in the video. So why do you think people hold those negative beliefs? Is it because of the brainwashing of religion, Christianity? Is it the brainwashing of the media that gives you the images of zombies and really bedevils Africa? So what is the reason why there is such a concentrated negative association with African spirituality?
That reason goes back centuries, and some of what you've listed is just a continuation of the same program. The demonization and degradation of African spiritual philosophies, I guess, really comes from those who invaded Africa once upon a time. So we're going from the Arabs, from the so-called Middle East, up until the European missionaries, who then furthered that work as well, because the strength and unity of a people are in their shared traditions. It's what gives them, I guess, an identity to engage with themselves more and see themselves as a collective. So when you're able to break that highest point of cultural expression, which is what we might call religion, yes, because it's your highest form, that you're dealing with the idea of the highest manifestation of self, being they also call it God, then yeah, you can, then the people are, I guess, yours to do with what you will. So it started from that, and then they started making, I guess, associations of Africans with the devil. So you can already see where this idea of it being devil worship comes from. It's not just to do with the fact that Africans are worshipping devils. It was with the idea that was propagated that Africans were devils. We were the antithesis to whiteness. So whiteness being everything light and good and pure, and everything black being negative and bad and evil. But then, as we all know, this is all just a power construct. It helped facilitate the exploitation of Africa. It has no basis in any real truth. And then consequently, it will and still has been followed on by the media. So we went from the church, or actually we went from government because it's political, then it went through the church as the agency that disperses these false ideas, and then it continues through the media, whereby you have Hollywood films which propagate the same imagery, whether it's child's play and this doll that can take on the devil via a voodoo ceremony, or it's the evil guy in Dr. No, James Bond, or it's now, even more evil traditional practitioners in like Nollywood movies. It's an ongoing phenomenon, they still keep it. It's in so many different guises. Yeah. So the reasons are plenty. I've only given a few.
Indeed. You know what, everybody who's watching right now, if you are loving the information, please just give us a big thumbs up, leave your comments down below, and let us know that you're loving the information. Big thumbs up. Thank you. So Dalian, as well, I want to know as well, why do you think that there isn't so much, how can I say, exposure on African spirituality? I think, in the latter ages now, I think we're starting to see it. I'm starting to see Europeans as well that are coming into Africa, coming into Western Africa, even coming into South Africa, Zimbabwe, etc., starting to learn, learn the traditions, becoming priests, etc. I'm even seeing certain Europeans that can speak the Yoruba better, or the Yoruba language better than, British Yoruba individuals here. I'm seeing them taking on the custom so much.
Yes.
So why isn't there so much exposure into African spirituality?
You say why isn't there?
Yeah, why isn't there such?
Well, I think well, really, if you look at the continent itself, it gives you an indication, or even Africa's power position within the world. Should we say game players? The two are they correlate and are interrelated. You do not see it because the mainstream religions still have an interest in furthering their power structures. So if we look across Africa, Christianity is really the main biggest ideology that has propagated, perhaps even further than Islam, because I guess to a degree, the area we call North Africa, there's persistent efforts to keep it from being African. More often than not, you find whether it's Tunisia, Libya, Algeria, being members of an Arab League when the continent is an African continent. Where they should be is the African Union. How are these countries members of the Arab League? Just because there's a majority of Arabs in the power structure and at the top of the power structure. So the traditions are still being oppressed because it furthers the interest of some of these religious practitioners to totally obliterate it. Because then I guess the way it's looked at, if you look at these two religions, Christianity and Islam in particular, it works on converting people to that system. Do you understand? So the wider your fan base, I guess, the more power you have. And this is why African traditions are not as widespread, be it on the continent or within, should we say, the diaspora, where you have offspring whose parents have come from the continent, is because there's this eagerness to get rid of the culture because they haven't seen anything positive come from it. Because all the images we see of it, whether it's of the TV or on the media, as we just talked about, it's been negative. And who wants to associate themselves with something that everyone else is considering negative, whether it's from an ignorant viewpoint or not? Yeah, I guess people are just trying to make themselves appear in the best light that they think is possible. So I don't know if that answers your question.
Yeah, it does. It does. It does. Also, audience members out there, haven't already subscribed to this channel, also just hit the subscribe button down below. We have great titans. We call our guests, our presenters, titans, because they have, they are intellectual giants or personas in our community that are doing great works, for us, to uplift us, to rise us to greater heights ourselves. If you don't know about Talk with the Titans, Talk with the Titans was birthed out of the idea that the intellectual giants, the titans of the community, should have a well-organized platform to present, discuss, and debate critical information affecting our community, proposed by you, our audience members, the community. So if you've got any issues you would like to have explored or decided, or you got any presenters or teachers or authors or scholars that you're very much interested in, and you want to hear them more, and you think that the world should hear their message as well, comment below. We listen to everything. Because of one of you, we have Irritated Genie coming in next week Wednesdays. So next week Wednesday, we've got Irritated Genie coming in, passing through the studio. So if you aren't already subscribed, hit that subscribe button. As you already know, we have our whole titans that pass through the studios, from Dr. Ali Mohammed to Shaka Ahmos to Gorilla Hebrew to Jonathan Owens from the Amun Ra squad, Anka Kek from the Amun Ra squad, Asaim Hotep from the Amun Ra squad. The list goes on. Great titans passing through the studios. So just hit the subscribe button and stay in tune to all of our past episodes and future episodes as well. Okay, in that being said, I would like to know, first of all, I would like to know what was the first rite, ritual you actually observed going out there? I believe you went to Ghana first, correct?
Yes, indeed. Yeah, that's where we went first.
So I'd like to know, what was the very first thing that you experienced out there, and could you just paint the picture and let us, feel that experience with you?
Well, Ghana, as I said, for me, first of all, that gave me the experience to totally rid myself of any hang-ups or hang-ups that I didn't even know I had regarding spirituality, because African spirituality in all of its expressions, because I realized that I myself was dealing with a residual of negative imagery that was stuck in my head somewhat. We went to Ghana, we went to the Asante region, we went to a village called Mamponting, and then we had the opportunity to meet an Okomfo, or a priest, who was a direct descendant of the line of Akomfo Anoche. I don't know if you're familiar with Akomfo Anoche of the Asante. He's famed with bringing down the Golden Stool. That kept the unity of the Asantes and contributed somewhat to how long they managed to resist the British for, which was for 100 years. I think there were very few groups of people on the continent that were able to resist the might of the technology that the Europeans brought to the continent. The Asantes were one of them. So anyway, we went. We got a chance to go to Anoche's shrine. We got to see some of his fabled works. One being a piece of stone in which he's meant to have carved. There's a game called Owari. I don't know, maybe your viewers might not be aware of it. You have these four stones, and you play as a strategy game, and he's meant to have carved this with his bare knuckles, his fists. So it's a big piece of rock, and you can see indentations within it, and clearly these indentations are not they're not made with a tool. You can see that it was actually made with something else, as the legend goes, is with his hand. Then we also went to see where he left a sword in the sand, which he dared any man to be able to pull out. I know there's been various celebrities over the years. They've tried even using those big trucks that they use on construction sites to try and pull out this sword. Still hasn't happened to this day. So all of these were lovely wonders to see, because it took it beyond the mythology and the fables to, okay, you know what, let me not be so quick to dismiss what we have here. Rather, go into it, engage with it, and see what you can come out with it from. The second was seeing an Okomfo in Mamponting making themselves available for a deity to speak through them. Because in the space of seeing this guy about 15 minutes to being one of the most pleasant, well-mannered people, to then switching personalities, because that's exactly how it felt. 1 minute he was calm, next minute he was speaking on something else, and his whole mannerisms and behavior would change. I was like, okay, this is serious. As much as we can't put a scientific equation to it, it does not in any way make it any less than what we could try and formulate. It just means perhaps we don't even have the right type of knowledge to put that into an equation yet for us to understand it from this Western point of view. So he was fascinating, as was another, because we saw 3 Okomfos that day. The other, who he became a vessel by dancing, and as the more he danced and the more energy he gave off, you could see him becoming, another whole entity or being, and that was fabulous to see as well, because he also had a different type of divination system. and it was just mind blowing. The whole experience there, it was very, very, very mind blowing. You know, so yeah, those are the experiences we had in Ghana. You know.
Wow, that is absolutely amazing. Oh gosh, just imagine seeing that, the ecstasy that is built up with the dancing system to divine. I could just picture it right now, the sounds, the constant redundant drum beat going off, the singing, I could actually imagine it in my eye right now. So that must have been an absolute wonder to actually see and experience.
Most definitely.
You know what? Sorry, 1 second. The cold is getting to me again.
Okay.
Wow. I'm actually there right now. Actually, I've got a relative, a descendant from, I believe, the last man to sit on Golden Stool. I believe he was exiled to Prempeh. Was it his name, Prempeh?
Yeah, Prempeh, yeah. Prempeh is one of the ones that got exiled, yes.
Yes. Because I remember I've got one of my friends, they gave me the whole history on that itself. He got exiled to an island or to...
The Seychelles Islands.
Seychelles Islands. Could you do you know the history behind that as such?
Not Prempeh's. I know the history of Yaa Asantewaa. Prempeh's as well I do, but quite vague. But I know all of those exiles were symbolic. It was a means of the British showing the Asantes that their heads, their governing heads, were no longer around. They could not kill them because the political decisions then were that if these people were to be killed or harmed in any way, then the backlash or the resistance they would get would be more, rather than if they were to exile them. Now, Prempeh in particular, I know he was sent over and then educated in a Western style and then brought back, which then furthered, I guess, the colonial agenda more because he came with a different head on his shoulders. Yes. So in the case with Yaa Asantewaa, for instance, I think that was the last war with the British, and the British had come demanding to sit. It wasn't even whichever queen, I think it was Queen Elizabeth I at that point, who demanded to sit on the stool. It was just like the general of the British kind of army at that point, and demanded that they should bring a sacred object for him to sit on. This is a stool that even the chiefs don't sit on. The kings don't sit on this object. The object is sacred. But then obviously it was another symbolic way of then making a gesture that, we're more powerful than you are. So anyway, Yaa Asantewaa then took on a call because she was an old lady, as it were. She was well advanced in her years at the time. Because it seemed that the Asante leadership were faltering. They were toying with the idea that, okay, if we don't give them this opportunity, they will come and totally destroy our community, blah, 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 so on and so forth. She then got upset and said, hey, are there no men left in this community? We need to take the task to the British. And she did very successfully for about 80 days. She laid siege to the British, but she was eventually defeated. And then they exiled her to the Seychelles until she died. And even in the Seychelles, I know she's held in very high reverence. There's statues in memory of her. There's all sorts. Prempeh, it was also similar. I believe it was either before a war or after a war. And the decision was made, let's take the king out and bring him back when we fed him with the right program. And he came back. I haven't read any accounts of how differently he ruled, but I think when you look at people educated in the West often and some of the attitudes we have towards Africa, I think we can have an informed opinion of what sort of changes he would bring back into the society. That's the history I know about these two individuals. Yeah.
And Ghana is a beautiful place. You know, Kumasi Beach. It has, actually no, you know, for a lot of people in the West, and when I say the West, I'm talking about the Americas, the Caribbeans, you know, who live or who was taken aboard on the slave ships over into the transatlantic slaves to America, to the Caribbeans, etc. Ghana played a big part in that, in the sense that, you know, Elmina Castle was one of the biggest holding places by the West or the British to transport the slaves over into the West. Could you give us a background on that?
Well, yeah. The background regarding the role that Ghana played in, well, I think it was more so for positioning purposes, in terms of where Ghana was within the trade route that the European powers had established. You know, they were just facilitating. Elmina Castle is one of the last standing castles. There's actually quite a few castles within Ghana. Some have totally disappeared because, you know, no one's really taking it on task to keep these places. Elmina Castle stands as one of the most preserved and most popular. But yeah, no, in terms of the role Ghana played, really, the real question is what role was it playing more for the powers that were colonizing the place? Because it was for their benefit. The Africans necessarily were not getting any benefits from that, you know. So I think it more had a geopolitical position within that triangular trade route that they had established. It just so helped that Ghana, was somewhere in a good position that it helped facilitate transporting enslaved Africans to the Caribbean as well. Yeah.
Yes, that's like you know, that Elmina Castle, that region there, the Gold Coast, Ivory Coast, you know, those are one of the regions where, you know, in terms of recorded history of the slave trade as such, you know, you can find a lot of details where, you know, as black people that got transported over into the West, this is kind of like a spiritual spot for, you know, for the transatlantic slave trade, because that was a key spot where he was transported over into the West. And I know if you go into Canary Wharf, you have the slave history museum. I can't remember the name of it from the top of my head. You see all the records of how many people were taken, you know, from the Gold Coast. It's actually called Gold Coast at the time. We now call it Ghana, but Gold Coast. You see how many, the numbers was actually transported from that region over into the Americas. But let me just go away from that point. So from Ghana, you traveled into Nigeria?
No, we haven't been to Nigeria to film. Okay. My experiences with Nigeria have more been with initiates over here who have been initiated into the IFA system. So there was a gentleman who had been initiated into the House of Ogun, and he's in the film. In the very last bit, you see him and his wife. He's the one who talks about it being demon worship, and how about fire? You know, you can use fire as an analogy because you can use it for good or for bad. So no, haven't been to Nigeria, but I spent some time of my childhood in Nigeria, but that really has no bearing on the film. It's just a part of my upbringing, really. Yeah, so no, we haven't been to Nigeria, but to film for part 2, we've been to Brazil, South Africa, Haiti, and we've interviewed various scholars in the States. Yeah, so these are the places that we went to film for the sequel, which is on its upcoming.
Okay, So, I want to know more. Actually, before we go into the South Americas, I want to tell. Could you tell me, your experience in meeting, Credo Mutwa? That has to be something. I believe, I don't know, most of us growing up, I'm sure we've heard of this name, Credo Mutwa, from Britain. I think, somebody from Britain, David Icke. David Icke is a household name, that has that went over there and actually interviewed him as well, to do with the extraterrestrials, and so forth. But how was it for you meeting this living legend, Credo Mutwa?
Yeah, it was an amazing experience, very, very amazing experience, because obviously, like I was familiar with Credo when I first saw him on David Icke's documentary, however many years ago now, the Reptilian Agenda it was, I believe, and I thought, well, this guy's a fascinating guy, obviously he's showing things that I'm like, well, he backs up his points. Getting to meet him in person, even more fabulous. Obviously we met him at a stage of his life where his mobility has decreased somewhat. This is the only problem. So he couldn't. He's like, he wanted to take us to so many sacred sites that he could have taken us, but some of these places you have to climb up. We're talking huge mountains, yeah, some underwater caves, all sorts. But his health could not allow him anymore. So those bits I missed out on, but we didn't miss out on his knowledge. His knowledge he gave freely, and he gave lots of that. And yeah, just spending time with him, I guess, even reinforced the conviction to see through the film. Because we had so many interesting experiences with him. For instance, we would be interviewing, he would say or mention, he would say something in his interview, and then we'd see a manifestation of that just walking by. I remember there was one bit where he talked about these donkeys, and he was making a comparison between donkeys and technology. And in less than 10 seconds, we had a donkey walking by. So there were all these, you can call it synchronicities, you can call it, I would call it more manifestations. You could just see the nature of spirit working in, through, and around this guy, and the whole experience there. Vision after vision, manifestation after manifestation. It was beautiful. Just even seeing South African, because let's not forget, South Africa is actually where they found the oldest, should we say, physical remains of, they like to categorize people into humans and how far we came from an ape to a human being or whatever else. Whatever the whole theories can sound convoluted somewhat, but it's where they found, I guess, the earliest, they call it a transition between the ape and the man. Lucy comes later of East Africa, so when you even just experience some of the natural wonders and some of the places they consider sacred, it blows you away. It takes you somewhere else. I remember there was one place we went to called Bosmangat. Yes, this place is the deepest. It's a sinkhole, so it's a place where the earth has pushed itself in and formed a lake. Well, will it be a lake? It's a closed off. Yeah, I guess you call it it's a cordoned in body of water. Yes, and this place, the natives say it's the womb of the earth, right? And when you're descending into this place, it's just the feeling that is there, very, very, very profound, and when we went down there, we had because I went with a few friends who helped me out with my kit, my crew, and some went into the water to bathe, some used it for meditations and whatnot. They could all feel it. It was that everyone that was going down there, you get into that space and you're not in a, should we say, a normal environment, so that was just one. And the fact that Credo was telling us he could have taken us to so many other places, we just knew we missed out on a fair bit in terms of physically experiencing some of these places, you know. Yeah, so it was amazing. Credo shared loads, and obviously the film we will get to share more. But actually, I'll just give you I've forgotten what they call it now, but you're entitled to this, if you want to call it a surprise or a sneak peek. Yes, because we're going to release a part of the upcoming film at some point this year that deals with rituals for daily living. Yeah, and Credo was very open in sharing some of these sacred rituals, not ones for specialized priests, but ones that every normal human being can use in their daily life experience. So he shared some very powerful rituals that people can use on an everyday, just to raise their spiritual awareness, vibration, understanding, and connection, you know, with the wider cosmos. So yeah, look out for it. It should be out by September. Obviously, I will keep updating you with that, and you can also pass it on to your learned community, you know. So yeah, Credo, amazing. I would actually even like to meet him again before should he transition on, you know, because there was much more that we could have covered. But yeah, we got good stuff anyway.
Wow, amazing. I can't wait. You know, I wish I could just sit down with you. Actually, furthermore, I'll be sitting down with you very soon, and I'm going to be hearing all of the stories. I want to see the first-hand exclusive of all of the footage with Credo Mutwa and the rest of your interviewees on there as well. If you're loving the information, audience members out there, if you're loving the information, you want to hear more, I've seen, don't worry, I've seen your questions on YouTube. So we're going to get to the comment section later, and I'm going to ask all these questions. But if you're loving the information, please give us a big thumbs up and let us know that you're liking it. Okay? And as well, let everybody know, the co-director of Ancestral Voices, Dalian Adofo, is on Talk with the Titans. Okay. You know what? Let me just quickly share the screen with you. Let me just do a quick screen share with you. If you can see my screen. So everybody else, my audience members, if you're there, you know Talk with the Titans has been running for about 4 to 5 months now, and so far we've been doing it all by ourselves, single-handedly doing things by ourselves. We haven't been accepting any money from our audience members, but now we are actually opening up to our audience members. If you would like to donate any money to help us continue with what we're doing, we're always going to continue what we're doing because we're doing it because we love it. We have a passion for this. We want our Titans message to be shared to the whole world and reach as much people as possible, because our aim is to literally inspire, educate, and uplift our community. So I'm doing this because I love doing what I'm doing. Okay, but if you would like to, and if you're financially capable of donating, we're going to keep it truly transparent. So anybody who donates money, if they wish to be seen as a patron, you can literally donate and you'll be there and you see how much money that's being donated. You can donate as little as $1 a month. I believe that's about 70p over here. Up to $3, $5, or $10 per month, and we will literally, give you your credit for donating and give you a hell of a lot of perks as well. So if you would like to donate, please just visit the Patreon account, and we'll leave it in the description box below, because we are trying our very best to give you more and more and more. And with that, we would need financial backing to be able to go out there and do these documentaries and actually film and interview these great titans from the UK, the great titans in Africa, in Egypt, in Israel, in Sudan, in Ethiopia, Gambia, Ghana, and Nigeria as well. So these are all the locations that hopefully within the next few years we're going to be visiting and bringing this information out there to you. If you would love to donate and you're not financially available to donate, please, what we will need from you as well is to just donate your time, your effort, your energy. To me, that's the most important thing. If you could help us out any way at all, just a simple thing as just, sharing the message on Facebook, on Twitter, on Google, on YouTube, that is actually a big help within itself, okay? If you've got any skills as well, if you've got any skills, editing skills, if you've got any editing skills, any marketing skills, anything that you're able to, musician skills, anything that you're able to offer up, please, help us out, because we want to raise up these new titans, these young titans. This is really what I'm here for. I'm not even here for myself or even anybody my age group or older. I actually want to make sure that the younger generation, the children, grow up in a better future than I actually had. So hopefully, if you've got any time, effort, energy, or even financial capabilities, please donate, help us out, and we'll keep on pushing forward. And leave us comments down below. If there's anything that you would like us to do, please let us know. We've already given out, we've done about 3 series. I think it was packed out. There was 1, 2, 3. There was 5 packed out classes, 3 5 times classes. That's 15 classes. I did a free Meduneta learn the hieroglyphic language, basically. So we've done that. So if anything like that you would like to see more, if you want to learn the Hebrew language, I'm pretty sure Nasi Yashavel or Divine Prospect will be here and willing to just give you that information all for free. So if you want anything like that, please let us know. We're here to uplift you, okay? In that being said, Dalian, back to you. Sorry, I just had to get that.
Carry on. Not to worry, that's fine.
Real quickly. So, with your Ancestral Voice, you know what? Before I go into Ancestral Voices 2, I want to actually ask this question because, before I forget, the YouTube is asking us about the Golden Stool. They want to know more about the Golden Stool. What is it? What makes it so precious? That type of question. So if you have any information on that, could you please give it to them?
Sure. I'll give what I know, and then I'll also urge them to then do some further reading. It's always good to add more to what you know. I guess the phrase now is Google is your best friend. So just knock that in there, and you get everything you need to know. But the Golden Stool of the Asantes is a stool that, as the narrative goes, was called down by the most famous of all the Akan traditional priests. His name was Okomfo Anoche. Yes. Now, among the Akans, or among the Akan tradition, those who would lock their hair, so what we now predominantly associate with being a Rastafarian. Most of the Akomfos were required to lock their hair because the hair has some spiritual significance in many African communities, the Akans being one. Now, the narrative is that when Okomfo Anoche was born, what set him apart from, should we say, all other priests of other days was he was born with his hair already in dreadlocks. This is what the story says. Yes? So they could already see that he was destined for big things, as it were. And he did manifest a lot of big things, one of them being this Golden Stool of the Asantes. Now, what he did was conjure up this stool, apparently from nowhere. It just appeared in the sky, and he brought it down to earth. This is what the story says. And in this stool, he invoked what he said was the spirit of the Ashanti nation. And if anyone, any, should we say, harm or neglect was to come to the stool, it would lead to the Asantis becoming disorganized and not as powerful, because they were, should we say, they were the ruling group of people within the larger group of people that they call the Akan. Yes, so the Asantis are one of the groups within a confederation, if you will, called the Akan. So he brought this tool that he invoked the spirit of the Asante nation into. And he said, should any harm or neglect come to the stool, or for it to be used in any should we say, disrespectful way, it would then have the repercussion of totally destroying the power of the Asantes. Obviously, that hasn't happened today, which is why when the British were, that British general was requesting to sit on it, they took so much offense to, because even their kings don't sit on it, and that's not the nature of that particular stool. Yes, and you know, when you look up, particularly among the Akans, stools are very powerful things. Yes, stools can be invoked with all manner of deities and spirits. Yes, and as a result, a stool is a very powerful symbol or sacred symbol. You know, it's not always just something you sit on. Based on the nature of the stool, it can be used for varied things. And the golden stool of the Asante is brought out every few years for particular ceremonies. It's not actually even seen in public a lot. It's one of the most guarded secrets of the Asante, even to today. So yeah, that's the history behind the stool. It was brought down to symbolize and hold the spirit of the Asante nation.
Okay, excellent. Okay, wow, that's a phenomenal story, right there. And I think it kind of feels like it draws parallel to ancient Egypt as well, with that story. Quickly, I'm not too sure if everybody on the YouTube line can actually see your visuals for some strange reason. I know us here, in the studio can see your visuals. We can see you clearly. But on the YouTube, it just seems like it's the blank avatar for Google Plus. I don't know if you need to increase your bandwidth.
The bandwidth to the full, the maximum. So I'm hesitant to refresh my window as well.
Hopefully that.
Can we get one of the viewers to confirm for us if that has been resolved or if it's still an issue? Is that possible?
Let's see. 30-second delay. So we will find out in literally another 20 seconds if it has worked out fine. Okay. But I know we're reaching near to the end right now. We're reaching near to the end.
Unfortunately, it's a shame.
Unfortunately, we're reaching near to the end. But you know what? Let me just share your website for everybody out there who, who hasn't seen the website. And I've got some questions from the website actually. So let me just quickly get the share going on. Here we go. Ancestral Voices website. So on here, this is where we can find your works. If we ever wanted to get in contact with you, we'll be right here on ancestralvoices.co.uk. Currently, I'm in Ancestral Voices number 2. If you want to check out all the past videos and even the outtakes are quite interesting as well. Just hit the AB1 button for the Ancestral Voices number 1. But if we just scroll down here, we can see all of the current cast lists, all of the current cast members who is featured on Ancestral Voices number 2. Obviously, just spoken about the magnificent legend himself, Credo Mutwa, and I know for my American audience out there, we've got another giants, Professor James Smalls and Robin Walker from the UK, the Black History man himself.
Yeah, that's right.
So, could you just name the individuals that are here? I know we haven't got enough time to speak about them, but could
Sure.
you just name them and let us know which country and what faith do they practice?
Okay, so the lady after Credo Mutwa's name is Bayina Bello. She is a Haitian historian and um, keeper, custodian of their knowledge and history. She is a Vodun practitioner. The lady after her is also a Vodun practitioner. Her name is Dorothy Desir. She's actually based in New York. She's a Manbo. She's an initiated Vodun priestess. After her is Max Beauvoir, who is the highest Vodun priest in all of Haiti. He is the ultimate custodian of Vodun as a system of spirituality there. Then obviously we have Professor Smalls. You know, he needs no introduction really. Yeah, for his esteemed and widely dispersed works. The first lady on the bottom line is Sobonfu Some. She is a world-renowned Dagara priestess and healer. She's the she's the former partner of Malidoma Some, who's also another very famous Dagara healer, very widely known in the West. She shares some excellent pearls of wisdom, you know, unlike I know people will find her most informative. She's really been good with what she shared with us. The gentleman after him is Dr. Kofi Bempa. He's the author of a book called The Akan Traditional Religion. If you go on Facebook or even if you do a search for this book, actually you'll find it. It's a very powerful book on the Akan spiritual system and the guiding principles and philosophies. It's a book that I highly recommend because it makes a lot of sense to the Western framed mind to understand the concepts that he explained, and it doesn't seem so far and beyond. Obviously, after Dr. Bempa comes Robin Walker, the Black History man, you know, esteemed author of the seminal book When We Ruled. Because, as I'm sure you're aware, no one has written a book of such depth and intensity on African history. Robin Walker was also very gracious to us in terms of the knowledge and information that he shared. The gentleman after him is Jedusa Sarah, who I met via Professor Smalls. So when I went to New York in, I believe, 2 years ago, to interview Professor Smalls, he introduced me to Jedusa Sarah, who is also a student of Dr. Leila Africa. He also shared with us some very powerful understandings within the African systems. Again, within the framework that a Western educated mind will understand it better. Lastly is Camille Yabra, a poet, singer, author, custodian of the traditions as well. I believe she was a former lecturer at New York University with Professor Smalls. I also met via Professor Smalls. So these are all the people appearing in the film and their background.
Thank you, thank you. And you know what? If our audience would actually like to, you know, help out, to donate, how, you know, because really and truly, you know, doing these documentaries, flying out to South Africa, flying out to West Africa, flying out to the Americas, to Brazil, etc. You know, this is very time consuming. This is very money intensive.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot that goes into this that the audience may not know about. You have to stay at these particular places. You'll have to, pay for the travel, pay to actually see certain sites. We've got family members, we've got a wife, we've got kids. There's a whole range of things that has to go into this to actually make the visuals to see the end product. So donating will help a lot. So how could they actually donate to you?
Well, if you just scroll down right underneath the video, please, Kalam, you can see our donate buttons on there. We have one for those who are based in the UK, as well as those who are based in the US. And rightfully so, as you said, it's making a film. It's very intense, whether it's pressure on your time or your money. The first film, we ended up funding it all ourselves, from our own pocket, because we couldn't get anyone that was willing to help support us. And I guess at that point, we could argue that maybe it's because people didn't know who we were. It's not like we're established filmmakers and well-known and all the rest of it. But I would have thought people would want to come on board just based on the fact that they were aware that there was someone willing to tackle a subject that has faced centuries of degradation, So it's the second one. Obviously, we've gone all over the world. We've tried to touch every part of the globe as much, so no one feels that perhaps their system hasn't been given any credence. It's taken a lot out of us, but luckily we've also had people who've been helping us now, donating what they can when they can. And this is what has been so instrumental to even getting us to those different parts of the world to film, whether it's the scholars or the traditional practitioners themselves. But we still need more. The film is now currently in the editing stage. Yes, we've managed to get it past the interview stage to the point we're actually editing it now. Yes, and what we do is we share some of that knowledge with the outtakes. The pieces that don't make the film, we share freely with everyone. So I would really encourage all listeners, donate what you can. It always helps. Don't think anything is too small. If you can, please donate. Another thing you can do as well is share. We have a Facebook page, and on that Facebook page in particular, we share a lot of content dealing with the traditions. So just sharing on our works widens our exposure, and that consequently can bring in more donations and support. So there are different ways in which people can do this. Go onto our YouTube channel, share some of our outtakes. Again, that will also help spread the message far and wide and increase the chances of someone also coming to support further. So yeah, please give what you can.
Okay, and also for the Facebook, how can they find you on Facebook?
On Facebook, if you just type in Ancestral Voices, Esoteric African Knowledge. Even if you type that in Google, it comes straight up. It will take you straight to our Facebook. I believe that's the first link that comes up. So once you go on that link, you just have to like it, and that would be it.
Okay, I have it right now up. Ancestral Voices, Esoteric African Knowledge, and on here we have over 181,000 people that have liked your page. That is absolutely crazy. That's a mad amount of numbers that's actually viewed this page. 181,000 likes on your page. That is incredible. The reach is getting out there.
It's true. It's taking a lot of work, Brother Kalam. Remember, this is 4 years in the works, with a lot of work that has been put into this. Yeah. So we're glad we could do with some more. Well, we wouldn't say no to more.
That's right. That's right. And hopefully, we've had people from America reaching out to you, people from Europe, people from Africa. I could just imagine, the commendations, the thank yous for shedding light and actually lifting the veil of African spirituality. There's a lot of people that hold these beliefs in the Caribbean islands, in Haiti, etc. But they come over into the UK, they come over into the USA, but they have to go on the ground as such, because it's not socially accepted, or this information is not socially accepted, or this way of life is not socially accepted. So I can just imagine the amounts of thank yous and pray, showing people, it's on your TV screens. You can relate to this. This is acceptable. This is more than acceptable. This is more than acceptable. This is who we naturally are.
Of course, by the very virtue that we live on the same one earth, that has the same energies, open for connection. Really, nothing more needs saying. This is what was before we started codifying and putting things into boxes, and giving it labels and whatnot. Yeah,
that's right. I'm gonna try to be real. I say sneaky, I say smart. I saw something on your page today. I saw a big, triumph, a big victory, a big, exhalation of you jumping in the air outside of court buildings. I want to know, what was that about? I'm sure everybody who's on your Facebook page is just wondering, what is going on? Like, what has happened? So please, let this be a Talk with the Titans exclusive, and let us know, what was that about?
No problem. As I mentioned earlier, I make films with a social focus. Yes, and the latest film that I had made is a film called As It Grows. Now, As It Grows explores issues around having natural African hair. And again, why there seems to be an issue with natural African hair. The idea came from an experience that the US actress Viola Davis had at the Academy Awards in 2012, I believe, where they just attacked her randomly. I think it was Vanessa Williams. No, not Vanessa Williams.
Whatever.
Something Williams. There's a lady, Wendy Williams. Yeah, she attacked the woman.
How you doing? This one. How you doing?
Yeah, that's the one. She has a remarkable likeness to being a male, for some reason. So anyway, she attacked Viola Davis for turning up in just a hair, and then the media outlets also just picked up on it and made this a big story. And I remember at the time thinking, why are we making such a big deal about something that should be so, in a sense, something that really should not have this level of attention focused on it? So I made a film to look at various aspects, and this film it's actually free. It will be put free online possibly before the summer is over. It's called As It Grows, so people can find out about it by going online and just type the word in As It Grows. It will come up on Facebook. So unfortunately, 2 years down the line, when I managed to complete the film, because after interviewing everyone and whatnot, I had a son, things were getting quite hectic. I had to work, all of these other things. So it took me 2 years to finish the whole film. And then when I finished the film, one of the ladies in it approached me rather randomly and said I should take her out of the film because she felt she looked fat. She had slimmed down in the 2 years since she got interviewed, and as a result, I should take her out. And I said, this is a bit unreasonable, number one, because a film works on a theme, a particular narrative. If I take you out, I have to rethink the whole film. And if you're thinking a simple film like that could have taken me 3 months, it's taking me 2 years, because I'm not trying to sacrifice family time or other time just to do one project. How else do you think it's going to impact when I have to reshoot it? That's another 4 years. I can't do it, We all came on board this project willingly. We knew we were making an educational film, especially for young women. we knew that the film was going to be free. You know, I had to beg and scream people to come on board the project, to get the equipment to shoot it, all of that. So I cannot go back through that whole process. You know, just be reasonable. We all know the camera puts a few pounds on a person. This is not a big deal. Can we just move beyond? Anyway, the woman wasn't having it. Then she went as far as taking me to the High Court. And she took me to the High Court with a list of made-up allegations that she never gave her consent to be in the film, number one. And then even more perniciously, she said I was sharing pictures of her as a minor in the film and online, which suggests ideas of pedophilia, you know. And she knows I'm an educationist. That could ruin my career straight away. She knows I'm a family man. That could mess up my whole family experience. Anyway, so she took it to the High Court. They looked at the case. They said this case has no legal basis. Furthermore, I had evidence disputing everything she said. The fact that she didn't give consent. I had over 200 images of her in a photo shoot for the film. I had a 45 minutes interview, no coercion. The woman's happy. She's smiling. She wants to be in the film. Emails showing her, sending me the pictures of her as a young person, because the film traces everyone's journey. So we start from when you're young. So I didn't go and share any films without any pictures without anyone's authorization. She gave me the pictures because it was part of what was needed to complete the film. But she then went around and claimed I had stolen them off her Facebook page. So anyway, I don't think it would take a judge that long to, when faced with this evidence. You know, you can see it clearly for what it is. So yeah, they threw the case out. And yeah, so as a result, as it grows, can come back online. Yeah, hopefully it can contribute something to helping young women of African descent in particular embrace that aspect of who they are, without feeling that they can only be beautiful when you're wearing some synthetic piece of artificialness on top of their head. Yeah, so that was what that jumping was about, because yeah, we won that case against her allegations and against her injunction.
Let me just give you that. Well done. I love that. Okay. I'm going to open up. We've got a short space of time. So if anybody on the panel right now has any dying questions to actually ask, you know, the master himself, the director, Dalian Adofo, please ask away. And thank you to the wife in the background. I believe she's the co-director of this as well. She's done an excellent job. And as you can see, behind every successful black man, there is also an equally successful and strong black woman playing their fundamental role. Okay? So, you know, I have to give, you know, props and praise to the Queen herself. So yes, so if anybody has any questions, please unmute your mic. I will ask the YouTube. I will check the YouTube for any questions as well. So if you've got any questions and you're right here, right now, please ask away. Okay. Okay. Wa alaikum salam. Brother Isa from the UK as well. Your mic is open, so go ahead.
Okay. I missed most of the lecture, but brother, what I wanted to know was if what you are teaching has been modified, or is it more or less the same? And if it is the same as if we went back maybe 500 years ago, would it need to be modified for us in the West? Has it been modified, etc.? So what I'm saying is, can it be adapted to our situation that we're in now?
Brilliant question. That's a very, very good question. Of course it can. Now, if we remember, these same traditions were what contributed to giving really the most memorable defeat of all the European powers in the diaspora in the Haitian Revolution. This is what gave the fundamental social organization, psychological organization, and spiritual determination. And remember, the Haitians just didn't defeat the French. They defeated the Spanish, the English, yeah, in combined forces. Now, what we're dealing with, brother, is in its very essence, elemental energy. The earth, as it's been here for however the millennia that it's been here for, has been unchanging throughout. Yes, what we find on top of the earth changes, whether it's be a period of dinosaurs coming through to where we don't see them now again, but we do know that the earth, in terms of, should we say, forces that we find, whether it's rain, whether it's snow, whether it's the wind, air, tornadoes, tsunamis, you name it, it's still there in its core. This is not a system that is dictated. Yes, to a degree, you do not even need direction from a priest per se to practice, because it deals with your essence, your spirit, what animates you as a being. And this spirit is also in connection or in concert with all the other energy forces available. So everyone has the opportunity to connect, because you're connecting to your very source, your very being. Yes, beyond this physical body. It can definitely be of use now. It's definitely of use now. What the people we call the elites, who are establishing such an exploitative regime on all of us, they use aspects of this system in their own individual, should we say, perverse ways, because energy in itself knows neither good or bad. That is labels we put on these things. It just knows every action has a consequence, part of the seven hermetic principles from Kemet. So whatever we do comes back with its own consequence, and that consequence can be productive or not, based on what you're using this system of if you want to call it, energy modification for. It's very useful.
Shukran for that answer, brother. Thank you.
No problem. Thank you for the question, because I think it's a very lovely question. I appreciate it a lot. Feel free to ask some more if you have any.
Is that okay, Kato?
Yeah. Yes, you can ask another question. Real quickly. One second. So people have been asking about the documentary as it grows. You can go actually onto Dalian Adofo's YouTube page. I believe it is Long Belly TV. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Long Belly TV, and you can find it there, or you can alternatively just type in "as it grows" and you will see it. There's a beautiful a logo to it. I believe it's like a circle with a hair follicle growing out of it. So check it out on there. We've got last question coming through. So is that you, Issa, that wants to ask this last question?
Yes, brother. I just wanted to know if you've done any research yourself, or if you know anyone who's done any proper research on, let's say, if we looked at Muhammad, peace be upon him, or Jesus, so-called Isa, so-called Jesus, Isa, Moses, and we studied like someone who looks at it from the esoteric side, where with you as a practitioner, have you found anything where you could actually see that these were people who were initiates, but they taught, let's say, to the masses a certain level of information, and then you could actually see the traces of them being people of proper knowledge of the voodoo system? Like, have you found that, and is there a massive information to show the different signs, etc.?
Well, I know Professor James Smalls has a lecture, and we'll go back to years now. I'll get V, can you type up Professor James Smalls' world? Actually, if you do a search for Professor James Smalls' world, He had a lecture that was called Jesus the Obia Man. Yes, I will definitely recommend you to that particular lecture. You will more find those who make those associations. What's his name? Delbert Blair. I believe I've seen a video of him also quite a few years back now, where they make these links. Oh yeah, definitely. You know, with the little that I know, because I haven't gone deep to research and be, should we say, the biblical or scriptural individuals, but the fact that we know that the word magician, you know, the three the fact that even the magi, you know, it doesn't reference the wise man is referencing is someone who has esoteric knowledge. Yes, so then even one of the clues we can take is, why would three knowledgeable people come and visit this one person unless somewhere within their readings they know that person has a spiritual significance to play? You know, but I would, to be honest, mine is not academic research. I will definitely recommend Professor Small's lecture because he gives links and further books that you can actually read to further that knowledge. Yes, so it's Prof. James Small's African World.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you for that. Yeah, that's something that I also look into. But yeah, it's interesting. I think Professor James Small has done a good job when it comes to at least Jesus, anyway.
Yes,
definitely.
Yes, yeah. Yes. I guess not so much with Muhammad, and I'm not sure why not. Peace be upon him, because I'm not sure if people are just a bit often get worried that, you know, you can start off some of these academic endeavors and then it could be a threat to your life, unfortunately, you know. So it doesn't allow a certain level of scholarship to be explored in that area. I'm wondering have you heard of a brother called Stephen Graham?
Yes.
He did a documentary called Northeast Africa, I believe, where he looks at the African presence in the area we now call the Middle East. He might have some useful information for you as well. So I believe his website is called Expressionately Passionate. Yeah. So if you look out and reach out to the brother, he's very open to talking as well and sharing. So I would definitely recommend that you reach out to him if you know he might have some knowledge based on, because he went out to that area to film, and I'm very sure he didn't come away with just the surface facts, as it were, you know.
Hey.
Yeah.
Shukran, brother. Much appreciated.
You're most welcome. Thank you very much.
Thank you. So we've actually reached the end of the show. For all of our viewing members who've actually watched the show or just came in at the end, just you know, hit the rewind button basically, and you know, watch it again. Take notes. This is something where you need to start taking notes, my people. Get pen, paper, take some notes. He's left some great resources for us. Professor James Smalls. You know, his documentaries, other documentaries, and Stephen Graham's especially passionate website, etc. So he's got some great information inside of this. You know, and watch it again. So share this finishes. Just hit the share button. Let everybody know what an amazing job our brother Dalian Adofo has done so far. We're going to hopefully be getting back in again. This time is not going to be through the Talk with the Titans format over here, but we'll be live face to face with each other, giving an interview, you know, and delving more into African spirituality. My brother Dalian Adofo, please, thank you for coming on. Do you have any last message or any shout outs that you want to give, or let people know of anything coming up in the future for you?
Yes, indeed, Brother Kalam. First of all, thank you very, very much for inviting me onto the show, you know, and having the exposition and the discourse that we've had, you know, much appreciated. Obviously, always thanks to my wife. She's doing a fantastic job in there. I see she's engaging the chat room, providing that extra supplementary information very needed, you know. So thanks to you both. Also, what I'd like the audience to know as well is, as I said, by September at the very latest, we should be releasing a vignette, which is a particular aspect of the film. And in this case, it is dealing with rituals for living, rituals for connecting your mind and your spirit with, in essence, creation. Yes, so that you can enrich your life. You can understand better your life and some of the events that happen within it. Thirdly, I guess, character cultivation. Yes, making you the best possible self that you can be. That it then drives you further towards your divine purpose for why you're here, and you further manifest in it. We're going to share that aspect of the documentary by September, so that we can then hopefully raise what we need to bring in the full film by next year the latest. So kindly, those who are not yet on our Facebook page, go like the page. You can send us an email. We can add you to our newsletter. We have a newsletter that we constantly share. Well, it's not even that often, once a month, and we keep you updated with what we're doing. So these are the two areas to keep updated with what we do, so you don't end up missing anything that is currently going on. So kindly go on to also ancestralvoices.co.uk. Kindly donate what you can to help us complete this film. So again, Brother Kalam, thank you very much for this opportunity. And as I said, I hope we can do another one later on in the year as things progress as well. Yeah, it's been fabulous. The time has gone even quicker than I thought it might. So that's brilliant. You know, they say time flies when you're having fun, you know? So, yeah, excellent. Thank you.
Thank you for coming on. It's been an absolute pleasure, and it's been phenomenal. So, you know, listening audience, thank you for tuning in, and thank you for engaging as well. Please check out the sites provided as well. So, unfortunately, this is the end of the show, so I'm signing out. This has been Kalam L, and you've been watching Talk with the Titans. Peace.